Hello everyone, Nikhil this side from Coding Beam. So in this video we will learn about the classes in the TypeScript. So what are exactly the classes? So a class is a blueprint of an object and the functionalities are passed down to the classes, and we can create some instance or objects from the classes. And it groups properties, methods and the constructor functions inside it, which can be accessed while creating an instance. And it was introduced in the ES6 JavaScript, and JavaScript has been primarily a functional programming language where the inheritance is like prototype based, and functions are used to build reusable components in the JavaScript, but till only the ES5. But in the ES6 the object oriented class approach was introduced, and TypeScript introduced the classes to avail the benefits of the object oriented techniques like the encapsulation, abstraction, polymorphism and all. But why do we need the classes? So they store the properties and methods inside in a group, which is a class, and which makes easier to access and modify. And it uses the object oriented approach like encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance and polymorphism, and they are the fundamental entities used to create the reusable components. So these are about the classes. So now we will see about some basic concepts in the classes, and the first concept is the constructor function. And the constructor function is automatically called when creating an instance, and there are some properties, and the properties are included in a class, and then there are some methods which contain some functionalities and which can be called inside or outside by using this keyword, and then there are some getters and setters, and they are used to get and set the values of properties which we have defined in the class. So now we will see an example of classes in the TypeScript. So now we will go to VS Code, and then we create a new file here, like here will be the person.ts, and then we will create a new class with the keyword of the class, and then the name of the class, like it will be a person class, and then we will get some properties. Like the first, to create a properties of the class, we need to define here like the property name, like it will be like the first name, and then we need to define here the type of it, and then the type will be like the string here, and then we need to define here and another property like it will be a last name, and the type will be here is also a string, and then we will define here another property like it will be the age, and the age will be a number. So now we have defined a class, and now we have defined some properties inside it, and now we will create a constructor function which will be automatically called while creating an instance. And the constructor function will receive three properties: the first name again, and it will be a string inside it, and then the last name will contain a string again, and then it will contain a age, and it will contain a number. And now we will store values of these parameter inside the properties like this. Dot first name will be equals to the first name which we are getting in the constructor function, this, and then the last name, and it will be equals to the last name which we will get, and then we will get the age, and then we will store the age will be equals to the age. So now we are storing the values inside the properties of the class, and now we will create a method. If I will now create a method, like we have to get the details of a person like get details, and the method can be done with the syntax like this. We need to define here the method name, and then it will contain parenthesis and the curly braces, and then we need to define here the return type, and this time the return type will be a string, and then we will be returning the information of the person in the string format. So it will be like the return, and it will be in the strings like this, dot first name, and then this again, dot last name, and then it will contain this again, dot it will be containing age. So now we have created a class, and then we have created a method inside it. And now to use the class, now we need to export this class, and for the export we need to write here the export before the class, and then we need to add it here, and then we need to just instantiate in the app.ts. Now we will instantiate that like the const person equals to the new person here, and then it will import the person from the person.ts file. So now you will see this, and then we need to define here some parameters, give arguments to this, like the first name will be equals to string, last name string, and the age is number. First name string, if I will give here as Nikhil, the last name will be again like the Tadani, and the age if I will give as a 22, so then you will see it will not throw us an error. So now if I will call a method to it like the person dot get details, so it will show us the details here. So now we will just console.log about the details. So it will just return the details of us. So now if I will now save, and if I will now just compile it like this tsc app.ts, so then you will see it will create a new file as the person.js here also, and then you will see it will be compiled in a moment. So if I will now save and if I will now run the node.app.js, so then you will see it will show us the details which we have passed through the object. So now the Nikhil Sadani 22, and then we are returning here the string with this dot first name, this dot last name, and this dot age. So these are the concept of the classes, properties, and the methods. So now we will see about the get set. And for the get set, if I will now remove here the constructor function, and if I will now remove here the properties, or if I will now add here some properties, like this will be the underscore, and then it will also be the underscore, and it will also be the underscore before it. And then these will be the private properties which cannot be accessed outside of the class, and then it will be the private first name, and then it will be the private again, and then the age will also be the private. And we will see about the access modifiers in the next video. So these are the private properties, and these are not accessible to any class or any object which is creating the instance of this class. So if I will now remove this get details function from here also, and then for the get set we need to define here the keyword like the get, and then the get, it will contain the function name or like the property like the first name, and it will contain the function inside it. So then it will be the first name, and then you will see there is a error here that a get accessor must return a value, and then we need to return the value at the return. It will be the first name inside it. Then you will see we have now created the get function, and then we need to create the set also. It will be the set, and then the set, it will contain the set as the first name, and it will be again the first name, and then the first name will just set a value with that, and then the set name first will contain a value is the parameter like it will be the value, and it will be as the string. So the set keyword will contain a property name. So then you will see we have now to just give the first name here as this dot first name, and it will equals to the value here. So it will contain here the value. So now we are now declaring a property like the get first name and the set first name, and now we are now getting and setting the values of these. So now if I will now save, and if I will now just remove this console.log, and if I will now just remove the values in the constructor fields like here, and then now we have instantiated. So now if I will now access the properties like the first name, that will be the person.first name, and it will be equals to like the Nikhil. And then if I will now just console.log about the person.first name, person.first name, and it will show us the Nikhil in the console window. So if I will now save, so now you will see it is showing us the Nikhil in the console window as the person.first name. So these are the get and set functionalities. We define the get keyword, and then we define the property name here, and then we are now just returning the first name, and because the first name cannot be accessed outside of the class, so if I will now show you the thing here like person.first name, so it will show us the error that it cannot be accessed here because this is a private property. So then you will see first name is a private and only accessible within the class person, so it will not be accessible. So we have to create a get set for these fields. So these are about the concept of the get and set. So thank you guys for watching the video, and I hope you will like the video, and guys please subscribe to our channel if you are new.